Hello, hello. Welcome to The Normal Intuitive. My name is Nancy. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're joining me for the first time, I am a ordinary 30-something mom and wife, but I have some extraordinary abilities. And on this podcast, I talk about those extraordinary abilities and relate them to this very ordinary hashtag mom life, stay-at-home mom. And I always start every podcast with a story of just how ordinary I really am. And let me tell you, this one is a doozy. I have a case of the Mondays today. I woke up, my son I heard the gate to the kennel being open, and I woke up to a cat running over my face and scratching me, and a dog trying to jump on the bed to get to the cat. My husband was in the shower. I had to scream for my older daughter to come in and separate because I was getting scratched. She pulled the dogs off, and I have a nice long cat scratch down the side of my face to start my Monday. But the good news is the sun is shining and it's going to get better from here. But I kid you not, I could not have predicted that if I tried. Just one of those things of having dogs and cats and kids and just all of the chaos that follows with that. If you're joining me for the first time, let's just go through this really quick and get my website out of the way. If you'd like to book a reading with me or ask a question, you can head on over to www.one-question.net. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/one question at a time. That's one spelled out. And on Instagram at the number one question at a time. On the last podcast, we talked about Pronoia and how you can use it in your life and have the universe really help you in your favor. And the wonderful news is I got some terrific responses on people really energized and wanting to enact Pronoia in their life. But I got a couple of messages and they're like, this is great, Nancy, but how do I do it? And I was like, well, you just do. And that's a hard concept to follow, to just be. And from my standpoint, I try and meditate. I have a hard time shutting my brain down. I try to find a way of just being, and I know how hard that is. And I've had several therapists try and work on how, what things for me personally calm me down and put me in that state. And it's going to be different for everyone. But when I say to just be, it's a matter of whatever you can do to just turn that brain off. And I know that's so hard for you to do. It's hard for myself to do, but you have to relinquish that control. It all comes back to control again and again and again. 95% of everyone's issues have to do with control and fear of control or fear of letting go. I am telling you from all of the clients that I've talked to in the last 3 months, there seems to be a pattern of women in particular not being able to relinquish that control. And I am right there with you all because I have anxiety, I have depression, and it comes from needing to be in control. So when I say just be, I mean just sit there. Like right now, you are maybe just sitting, listening to the podcast. I know I have one person that works out and does the podcast, but I'm asking you to just sit and just listen to my words. That's just being. There are suggestions like you could go for a walk in the woods, but how often, unless you live by the woods, are you going to walk in the woods? But I would suggest just taking a walk, leaving your phone at home and just taking a walk and just starting to notice the birds, the flowers blooming. Especially this time of year, it's a wonderful opportunity to get outside and see the buds that are forming, and just noticing that is just being. Or when you take a shower, stand under the water for a second and just be. Feel the warm water on you and just allow yourself to be in that moment. I think it's really hard. Like I joke about, how do I de-stress from readings as I love The Bachelor and Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise and all of that. But that's definitely not being. That's me kind of zoning out. Just being is just allowing yourself to be quiet and sit in that moment. And I know how hard it is when we all have a million and one things to do and we have a million and one responsibilities. And in this day and age, I think even more so than our parents' generation, that I think it's even more on us because now we have social media and we have the pressure for our children because we know the pressure our parents put on us and the stuff we went through. Now it's even more so because now it's not just about, getting into college by playing a sport. Now the kids need to play two sports and, and different areas have different challenges. I know here in New England, it has its own sets of challenges with kind of social norms and the way kids operate. But regardless, wherever you live, there is this pressure as moms for us to be perfect. And, when we donate to a bake sale, God forbid, we just get some Oreos from the store. Like that's, forbidden. Like we've got to stay up until 11 o'clock and make cookies or whatever. And that's not just being. That is spinning out of control. And then you find yourself at this point where you find yourself feeling so empty. And I've been there. And when you're empty, you have nothing left to give your spouse, your children, and 100% not yourself. And as women and as moms, we need to take better care of ourselves. We need to nurture ourselves. Because if we don't nurture ourselves now, our children are going to be gone. And I've heard this again and again, and it bugs me. Oh, well, we need to enjoy our children now because in 10 years, we're going to miss these stages. I'm sure I'm going to miss my daughter when she's off at school. But if I don't take care of myself now, then I'm not going to be anything when my daughter goes off to school because I am going to have lived so much of myself through her that when she goes off, I'm going to have nothing left for myself. And you hear about this more often than not, sadly, where you hear of like marriages breaking up after the kids go off to college. And you hear people go, well, what happened? Well, because their lives were wrapped up in children. And when your lives are wrapped up in your children, then what is left for you? What are your dreams? What do you want? Do you know how to relax? I certainly do not. That's what therapy is for, is trying to find, for me at least, trying to find that magic serum of how to relax, how to get a very active mind to relax. For me, just taking a breath. I had to get an echocardiogram and a stress test a couple of weeks ago for my heart. And I had to go on a treadmill and they had my heart rate. I was connected up to all these sensors. And I had to, get my heart rate up super high. And then immediately they had me lay down on this table. And then they would check my heart and check how my heart was doing. And something really interesting happened. When I laid down on the table, the tech told me to take a big breath in. And I would take a big breath in and they were looking at my heart. Well, interestingly enough, when I did that, my heart slowed down considerably. And they had me do this 2 or 3 times. And at the end, one of the other nurses said, this is a good trick for you to get. I have a rare type of tachycardia called inappropriate sinus tachycardia. But they said, this is a good trick for you to get your heart rate to go down. It's just holding your breath and then letting it out slowly. Try that. I don't often advocate for holding your breath. And as a former fitness instructor, I would say that if you are not supposed to do that. You are generally not supposed to, run and then hold your breath. But if you're sitting here right now, try holding your breath for 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let it out. Obviously, don't hold your breath to the point of passing out. But doing that even will help calm. It actually physically lowers your heart rate. It can. If you have I don't know what the technical term is, but like a nervous heart or an active heart. And, well, all hearts are active, but I hope you're getting the gist of what I'm saying. And just holding your breath, though, and lowering your heart rate will calm your heart rate down enough and hopefully lower that adrenaline response and quiet your mind because you're thinking about holding your breath. And that is just being. Now, obviously don't do this all the time, but it's also another trick that you can use to just kind of calm down for a second. You know, they say take deep breaths. I hate taking deep breaths because then I feel like I'm hyperventilating. Don't you? Like if someone says take deep breaths, it's like, oh, you know, you feel like you need to, like you're gasping for air. But that's one thing to do, is just by holding your breath and then letting it slowly out, it can control your heart rate and you just kind of lower yourself down just a level. Because we are always, so many of us have such a period of time in our day when we're just go, 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 go. Like right now I'm doing this podcast and all as well. But in another couple hours, when my daughter gets home from school and she has lacrosse practice and dinner and da-da-da-da-da, I mean, I am going to be going full speed. So it's important for us to take that time for ourselves because no one else is going to do it for us. Are our spouses going to say, hey, honey, did you take some time for yourself? No. Are our kids going to say, hey, mom, what did you do today? Did you take time for yourself? No, the kids don't care. And they're not supposed to. I mean, they're kids. They're still learning emotionally and developing. But definitely, we are the only ones that need to, we're not the only ones that need to take care of us. We all need to take care of ourselves. But we need to take care of ourselves. Because if we don't, the ship's going to go down. Let's be honest, ladies. Moms generally run the show in the family. We generally are running the family schedules. We know where everyone's supposed to be. We know what we need from the grocery store. I don't know how many times over the weekend my husband was like, oh, honey, by the way, we need olive oil. Oh, and then we need da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, do I have a list in my hand? Like, oh, okay, let me pull out the list out of my back pocket because I need to write this down because that's my responsibility and that's how our roles are divided in this house, and that's okay. But it doesn't ever, you know, there's a rare time where I'm able to just be. And so we need to give that to ourselves. We deserve it. And it's not taking away from our children. Never, ever feel guilty for taking time away from your children. You deserve and need that time so you're a better mom, a better spouse, a better friend, a better coworker. We need this time for ourselves. And we need to learn how to just be. And it's going to be a process to learning to just be. I am still very much in that process. To take that second and maybe set a reminder on your phone every hour, every 2 hours to just take some long, deep breaths or, you know, hold your breath and then let it out slowly and just allow yourself to just be. Set an alarm on your phone because that is going to start gaining that skill of letting go. And by letting go, we can allow the universe to take over and lead us. When we are busy controlling things and busy trying to control where we think something is going, it doesn't generally work out, right? When I started this website, I thought I had an idea of how I was going to reach people. And so I started making these videos with a subscription service where I'd create these videos, and I made them, and they were kind of campy and funny, but all about trying to dispel these myths about a psychic medium. And really didn't do anything. It did nothing for my business, and it was kind of fun learning how to create videos, but it didn't do anything because I was so busy trying to control that aspect of trying to get clients in that I didn't stop and allow God and the universe to let my work speak for itself, let recommendations come in. I was so much in a hurry to get started and get helping people that I forgot that the whole point was allowing God to work through me in getting me to the right people. And I'm sure there's an instance in your life that you may want something. Let's say you want a bigger house. You want a bigger house. Do you want a bigger house just for a bigger house, or do you want the right house? And so many times we are in a hurry to just get that thing we want. I know, I'm in my late 30s, and when I was in my late teens, it was